everyone. This is Quinn Curtis, and you are listening to Joyful Living. And today I am joined by the coolest guest. This is Milana Leshinsky, and she is amazing. And she's going to be such a powerhouse of information, especially if you're growing a business, of really helping you dial in and find more joy and simplicity and power in all that you're creating. So before I officially bring her on, let me just tell you a little bit more about her. She is the founder of Simplicity Circle, where she is creating a simplicity revolution for coaches, authors, speakers, and entrepreneurs who want to grow their businesses with ease. She's the creator of Recurring Revenue Revolution, author of Coaching Millions, co-founder of JV Insider Circle, and an inventor of telesummits. Milana is known as a serial entrepreneur and paradigm shifter by many luminaries. And just to give you a little insight into her background, which is so inspiring, she came from the Soviet Ukraine 25 years ago as a classical musician with zero knowledge of the business world, and has since built multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses. Today, she's passionate about showing entrepreneurs how to use simplicity as a growth strategy and say goodbye to complexity and overwhelm, and instead say hello to simplicity, profits, and ease. So without further ado, Milana Leshinsky, welcome officially to Joyful Living. We're so happy to have you here.
Well, thank you, Quinn, for having me. You built me up so much. I feel like I really need to deliver massive value, which I hope I will.
I'm sure you will.
My pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to the insightful and helpful conversations that we can create today.
Oh, me too. Me too. We were just starting to talk a little bit before the recording started, and my mind was already starting to get so excited about these topics that Milana just is a natural at and is totally her genius zone. So we're going to dive in. But before we do, the first question I always love asking my special guests is, what does your flavor of joyful living look like? And the reason we do this is because on this show, we really stress the point that joyful living, or happiness in general, is not one size fits all. And that it's when we try to just keep up with the Joneses or do whatever we think is going to make us happy, we don't actually clue into what does joy look like to me? What does happiness look like to me? That we end up missing out on a lot of the joy and happiness that was always there for us, or that we always could have taken advantage of. And so in another piece, just recognizing that everybody's flavor is different, and everybody's flavor should be celebrated. And so Milana, in your life, what does joyful living look and feel like?
Well, I will say that it definitely looks like simplicity, but simplicity is such a word that a lot of people put different words and meaning into that word. So for me, simplicity most importantly means that I'm doing what I love, what I want to do, not because somebody else told me to do something. So clearly I'm in the right line of work because I'm an entrepreneur and I get to tell myself I get to tell me what to do for myself. So that's great. But the other part of simplicity for me is also having a lot of space. So spaciousness to me is very important. In fact, years ago, I was looking over some of the testimonials from clients from 8 years ago, and I was not calling myself a simplicity coach at that time or simplicity mentor. I was just a business coach. But I was listening to her testimonial and I thought, wow, I was always a simplicity coach, because what she was saying is like, Milana's calendar is nearly empty. I don't even know how she makes money, this woman, because there's nothing on her calendar. She looked at my calendar and said, where are all of your meetings and appointments and things to do? And I said, don't have anything. I have, certain things that I work on. I don't have a lot of meetings. I just do what is absolutely essential to run my business. And that's the time I was running a $500,000 business. So you can have a lot of spaciousness if your business is simple in the way that I define it simple. And I can talk more about that today.
Oh man, I'm excited. I want to just dive into that actually. So let's discover, you're telling me such an interesting nugget before we got on about really deciding, how does your business fit into your life? I'd love for you to expound on that more.
Yeah. So you and I were talking a little earlier today, and I pointed out that when we start our businesses, we start because we probably want to make more money. We want independence. For me personally, I started because I had two small children. I had a 6-year-old who was entering kindergarten, or first grade, and I had a 1-year-old, and I couldn't find a good daycare solution for her at that time. It was very frustrating because I couldn't find anything that really was suitable in my opinion. And so I went home crying from work, and I said, you know what? I think I'm going to give my 2-week notice. And I did, and I started my business. In fact, my daughter always jokes with me like, I'm the reason you have a business today. Like that actually very well might be true. I might have never even given myself a chance at entrepreneurship if it
Wow.
weren't for that interesting challenge. But anyway, I found myself in business because I wanted to stay home with my kids.
Mm.
And I needed to replace my income. What I didn't know is that about 4 years later, I would be making $500,000. So not only would I replace my salary, but I would also grow my company. Um, so the idea of understanding what your business's role is in your life is guided by the vision of your life.
Oh,
We
like
know.
stop right there. That is so powerful. Like I would love to just restate that. Like the vision for your business is guided by the vision for your life. Vision for your life. A to the man. Keep going, Milana.
Well, and it's interesting because I didn't know about that. I never thought this way when I first started my business. I literally was just trying to stay afloat long enough until my daughter was old enough to go to school.
Mm.
Um, and over the years, what I found is that if I don't focus, or if I don't think about what my vision for my life is, then I will allow my business to become my life. And it doesn't sound as bad as it may sound. You know, yeah, my business is my life because I love it. But the negative part of that being a reality is that my business in the last 3.5 years totally consumed my life, where I was thinking about it on vacation in Dominican Republic, the most beautiful place and resort in the whole world, right? And I was thinking, and I was, checking my messages, and I just couldn't relax because I was worried and I was stressed out about it. And I was always planning that next thing. My business became my life, but that's not the life that I wanted. And what took for me to realize it is walking away from that business. It was only when I sold my business to my partner, my business partner, I felt like I just jumped off a fast moving train.
Yeah.
That's when I started seeing like, oh my God, I haven't looked out the window an entire month. I forgot what my trees look like. And I have
Yes.
beautiful tree, and I have like this beautiful view and simple things like that. And it's a scary thing when you look at your clock and it's 6 p.m. and you realize you haven't even stuck your nose out the doors yet today. You haven't been outside yet. You haven't breathed in the fresh air or whatever the weather is. So, I may sound a little bit like woo-woo or a little
Not to
cheesy.
this audience. No.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like to me, people who knew me before last year would say, "Oh my God, what happened to you, Milana? You're talking about nature and birds and trees. You were this hardcore $1 million woman." Like, yes, the $1 million woman who started having panic attacks 3 years ago with that new business and the space that it took up in my life. So you kind of have to decide how much space are you willing to let your business take up in your life? All of it? Half of it? 75%? I don't know. I kind of like taking dance lessons and going to vacation and playing with my dogs and watching Bachelor in Paradise.
Yes.
So yeah, that is an interesting question that I literally just like came up with right now. How much space are
Wow.
you
I'm
willing?
writing it down. Yeah.
Yeah. That is something to think about that I never thought about before. Because if you ask me why do you work so much or why do you work on weekends, I would say because I love my business. Except in the last 2 years I didn't, and I noticed that I started dragging myself out of bed every morning. that, and I didn't notice that because it happened slowly. You know how something happens so slowly?
Yes.
I got sucked into that complexity of my business that I didn't even notice. And it took my friend to come back from another state. She moved for a little while, and then she came back and she saw me and said, "You're not smiling. Where are all your ideas? Where are your notes?" And I broke down and started crying because I realized, like, the last time you saw me, I was really excited about my business, and now I'm dreading it. What happened? How did that happen? How is it that with 12 years of experience, I got myself into this rabbit's hole where I buried myself in my business?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's kind of like the role of your business in your life. You decide that, you determine that.
And you had some great insights about possible roles. And you even had mentioned to me, we think a lot about the roles that we have in our businesses. But then you were talking about how we just don't necessarily think about the role we want our business to play. And I was curious if you'd want to expound a little bit on those different kinds of roles that we might want our business to play.
Yeah, I mean, everybody starts their business for different reasons. Some people decide that they want to be an entrepreneur. I never made that decision. Kind of my life made that decision for me because I
Mm.
was a music teacher from Ukraine. I
Yeah.
started my business by way of creating a website, by way of writing an ebook, and suddenly somebody sent me $29 through ClickBank, and I was like, "Oh my God, I got a check! This was amazing!" And I wrote the book, and now I got this money. I mean,
Yeah.
it felt amazing, right? So for me, it was definitely like something I was trying. But other people who grew up in the entrepreneurial world, they just want to be an entrepreneur. So that's the role of their business, is it is who they are.
Mm.
And then for some people, it is a tool for financial freedom.
Yeah.
Because no matter how much money you make in your job, chances are you always have more potential in your business because you could leverage your expertise in so many different ways. You could build a team who will do the things that you train them to do. You could go with the passive income route where you create information products or membership sites. There's so many things you can do to increase your income. Like,
Mm.
if I tell my husband right now, "Hey, can you go make more money?" He'll say, "Well, no, that's all they're paying me."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if I had to generate more income, I could figure out something else that I could do, or some other way I could shift things, or a program I could offer. Um, or maybe I could drop the price of my program so more people get, to sign up and get
Mm.
people motivated that way, or offer a bonus. So I always feel like I'm in more control because I'm an entrepreneur. So financial freedom is another role that your business can play for you. One of the other things I think I mentioned was like, what if your business is your tool for teaching your kids about entrepreneurship? I know a lot of people like that in my life.
Wow.
They refuse to get a job because they want to teach their kids about um, choices. And you choose to wake up and be happy by having your own business, right?
Wow.
And people in the coaching world, that they believe that coaching is their calling and their life purpose, and so they do it because for of that reason. So their business allows them to fulfill their life purpose.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm sure there are many others. These are just like some ways to think about your business and why you are running it. I know some people for whom business is a game, to see how much money they can make, to
Yeah.
see, can they make this ad work? Can
Mm.
they um, um, can they create something and turn it into income? Like, to me, that's always been not quite the game. I never saw business as a game. For me, it's definitely a source of creativity because I've always created. I wrote music. I created websites,
Yeah.
and, at my job because I was a web designer. So for me, my business is a creative outlet that just fortunately happens to also make money. And
Mm.
that is the best sweet spot to be in, where you get to create what you love, and then other people appreciate it and value it to the point where they give you money, right?
Yes.
Just
Oh, yeah.
thinking out loud about that.
Well, and you're bringing up so many things that I have spent so much energy just pondering and thinking about, because I was thinking, in a lot of the societies that we've seen built up, like the Egyptians and then the Romans and then all the major societies, that even the Chinese cultures, right? It's like the apex of the society when everybody gets to create their art. And so like you can see, oh, the society is stabling out a little bit, or they've got better systems to manage a lot of the day-to-day things, that then everybody starts to kind of create and paint and sculpt and do some of these other pieces. And so I was thinking, like, isn't that the goal for everybody in our society to some degree, to be able to be in that sweet spot where you can be supported financially to whatever degree your lifestyle requires, so that then you can bring that creative juice, that creative genius to the world in whatever form it looks like, which I think it looks different to all of us.
It does. When I talk about simplicity, I talk about it being very subjective,
Mm,
because what's simple to you may not be simple to me. I
wow.
love, for example, product launches. I love designing live events and workshops because I love to facilitate. I can do that in my sleep. And I have so much fun. I can spend an entire day doing it and then forget to look outside the window for my tree. So sometimes that happens too, but at least I'm doing what I'm absolutely loving, not trying to push for something. For other people, simplicity might look like going to a networking event after a networking event, and scheduling strategy sessions or lunch dates with people. To me, that is very complex because that's not my personality. I don't necessarily spend time connecting. Like, I connect through my creation, I connect through teaching, I connect through building something like a platform. Like when I built the Telesummit for the very first time back in 2005, um, I didn't, people think, well, Milana, if you're not a connector, how did you get all these speakers to come and speak at your first Telesummit when nobody really knew you?
Amazing.
Because I created something and I invited people to participate in the thing that I created. So uh, I used my sweet spot, or what I call super skills, to attract people. And that's actually a really big part of my programs that I teach. Super skills, that if you're trying to grow your business and you're not leveraging your super skills, where your biggest natural abilities, tendencies, skills, interests, passions, if you're not leveraging those, chances are you are pushing against something right now and you don't know what you're pushing against, because maybe you're thinking that you are just stretching yourself outside your comfort zone,
Mm,
which could be true,
yeah.
but very often we push and push and force and grind and the results are not happening.
Yes.
When you are working within your super skills area, when you're leveraging your super skills, what happens is the more you do it, the better you get.
I
If that doesn't happen, that means you're not working inside your super skills, or what I call your simplicity zone. What is your simplicity zone? When do you feel completely in the flow and you're just doing it and it gets easier and you get results and people love you and all the opportunities are coming to you, just the kinds of opportunities that you are looking for. So
Man, yeah.
and
Sorry.
it's tricky because we could be thinking that we're just trying to stretch ourselves outside the comfort zone. You want
Yeah,
to do that.
yeah.
You want to stretch yourself in the right direction.
Which is tricky, right? I feel like there's been this massive movement, maybe just over the past 5 to 10 years, where it seems like everybody is wanting to turn their passion into a business. Um, or that's, turn your life mission into a business and all of these things. And so I feel like everything that you were describing, I mean, that's definitely, I had a pretty similar experience with that, of just waking up one day and being like, oh my gosh, I just missed how many years of my kid's life. Like, it just went by because I was consumed in my business, and where's my health? Where's where's all these pieces? And so I feel like you couldn't be at a more right moment to be really addressing these issues, because I see it happening everywhere in the entrepreneurial communities that I'm a part of, that people are just, they're going and they're like, it's my passion and it's my mission, and they are burning themselves out hardcore.
It's very easy to burn yourself out, because if you are watching other entrepreneurs and you're trying to imitate what they are doing, and you're taking their courses, you're signing up for their programs and blueprints and methods, or maybe you have a coach or a mentor who is telling you how to grow your business and what you need to do, what's going to happen is you're going to start following their ideas for what success looks like. But you
Yeah.
have your own ideas,
Yeah.
and you have your own super skills, right? Like for years, people have told me, Milana, you need a high-end program. Oh, and by the way, to sell a high-end program, you need to speak at live events or do your own big event. And I've tried that for, I would say I've done a live event every year for the last 10 years. And every time I would go on stage to speak about my program, my high-end program, like $15,000 program,
Yeah.
literally either before or right on stage, I would get a migraine. And your body has an interesting way of telling you when something is out of alignment. And I did not pay any attention to that whatsoever, none.
Yeah.
I would just like, oh, again, I guess it's my migraine. You know, I got my migraine again, and it just happens to be right before I'm going on stage.
Wow.
But the last time I did it, I actually get a panic attack, and that is much worse than a migraine.
Oh,
so
yeah.
My body said, enough. Whatever you're doing, stop doing.
Wow. Yeah.
And even when I didn't get a migraine or a panic attack, I never got really strong results. Like I would get maybe 12 people into my program, and I'm watching all these other people, they're enrolling 100 people. And I'm like, how do they do this? Why can't I do this? So then I started beating myself up. I'm sure you've never done that.
Never.
Especially for women, right? We always beat ourselves up. That feeling of being inadequate.
Yeah.
Feeling that you're not smart enough, not skilled enough, maybe you're not even supposed to be doing this at all. And then I looked at my highest level of success, and I reminded myself that in 2013, when I delivered a teleclass, or actually it was a webinar, I enrolled 306 people at $2,000 from a webinar.
Wow.
That was a $600,000 webinar. And I thought to myself, why am I torturing myself on stage with a high-end program when I can create what I love doing, a webinar presentation, like a class, a master class, deliver it, and get people invited into my low-end program, you know, $2,000 compared to $20,000. That was like a low-end program.
Yeah.
And do it from my home without a panic attack.
Or migraine.
Right? So I could continue to push myself. And I think a lot of people do push themselves. So like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I tried to do this for 11 years, and it never really added up to results. On the other hand, my very first teleclass, I had one person who paid me $25. I did my next teleclass after learning a little bit more about it. I had 7 clients from that teleclass. And then 10 years later, I had this $500,000 webinar. So that's because I continue to improve the super skills that I already had in me. I just continue to improve it. So maybe a tip for our listeners and our viewers today is to look, where have results historically come for you from? Where's that 80% of the results that are coming from? And can you see yourself going bigger there and dropping everything else? That's where simplicity comes from. Not trying to do everything and try everything, but focusing only on the 1 or 2 things that bring you the highest level of results, and coincidentally, the highest level of enjoyment.
I'm so glad you added that last bit, because I know a lot of the entrepreneurial, entrepreneurs in my world, and I've been in this trap as well, where we stay stuck in. It's reminded me of the book Essentialism. I don't know if you've read that one, but where he talks about like just doing the stuff that you're good at but you don't want to do versus doing what you love and are good at, you know. And so I feel like there's kind of this spot where we can get stuck in between there. Do you see that also, where it's like, well, I'm good at this and I've made money at it, but I don't really love it, you know?
Yeah, it's always, that's the eternal struggle for entrepreneurs. You know, I can make money with this, but I don't enjoy it. I have this skill, but it's not my passion. So it's almost like a quadrant, right? You
Yeah.
love it, you don't love it. You make money, you don't make money. Now, how can we bring those together where you make good money and you love doing it? Um, and so what I do with my clients is I give them a couple of assessments and we figure out what their super skills are, because super skills are things that you do naturally. And so I like to use this analogy. When you imagine that growing your business is as simple as waking up and being you.
Mm.
Now that is exciting. That
Yeah.
means you don't have to pretend to be someone else. You don't have to push or force yourself to do something. You're just doing it. Like when you are left to your own devices, Quinn, what do? When you're left to your own, my guess is because you have a podcast, you probably ask questions, you interview people,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know, if you and I talked for a little longer, I'd probably figure some other things. With
Yeah, I'm a researcher, right? Like I'm a learner. So I love learning from people and learning. I'm always reading and
right. So what if you did that and that grew your business, and
yeah.
you find a way to use that um, ability or skill or like that natural tendency that you already have? What if you use that to grow your business? Like that to me is really important. For me, when I am left to my own devices and nobody tells me what I should be doing and how I should be doing things in my business, I end up creating little teachable frameworks. Like I organize information into
Mm.
3 points.
Yes. Yeah.
So I simplify. When left at my own to my own devices, I
I
simplify
love
things,
that. I
right?
totally do that too, by the way. I'm like so inspired that you call that a super skill. So I love that.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? It's a super skill because your clients appreciate that about you.
Yeah.
That's if you look at all of my testimonials for my clients, the word clarity, focus,
Mm.
simplifying,
Wow.
demystifying, all of those words consistently repeated as a theme. So, you know, if you look at your testimonials or anything that your clients are sending you or telling you, is there a theme? There are clues in your clients' testimonials.
Mm. Man, I love that. And it's so funny because I'm sure um we are always discounting what our super skills are, right? So do you,
Totally.
with your clients, is that kind of an interesting thing that you're always seeing where it's like they're like, no, that nobody wants that, nobody would pay for that, or and they're not taking it seriously, and you're having to no validate and draw it out from them? Or I'm curious about that.
Well, yes, because it's so natural to us that we don't appreciate it. It's like trying to see the label on the t-shirt that you're wearing, essentially, right? So
Wow,
you
I love
have
that
to
analogy.
let someone else, you know, look at it and tell you what is written on it, right? But they're also tools. And you know, to be able to figure out what is it that, because every person is motivated by different things. I am motivated, for example, by creating and sharing. So when I became aware of that, um, then marketing became just a matter of creating and sharing. For someone else, you might be motivated by connecting and introducing.
Mm.
Another kind of marketing personality, as I call it, unique marketing personality, could be you are motivated by inspiring and transforming. So that should be part of your marketing all the time.
How cool is that? I love this concept, Milana.
Yeah. And if you don't know this about yourself, if you haven't like figured out and taken the time, like I make it easy for my clients because I have assessments that tell you literally what your biggest drivers are and what your super skills are. We look at different areas. It's like There's 2 assessments. Each one has 40 questions, and we figure out this is what your business model should look like based on where you deliver value the best. And this is how your marketing should look like based on how you communicate your value, deliver and communicate. And with those 2 tools, now you know what your business should look like. It's just like written right there. You know, you should be offering a year-long program because you're motivated by this and that, right? It's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were attending a mastermind event recently, and somebody was talking about getting a $40,000 client, and we took a break, and she said, "Oh, a $40,000 client. That's a year of loving and nurturing someone." And I looked at her and I cringed and I said, "That's a year of torture to me." So
I'm so in that camp. I love
right? Like everybody's
God.
different. And if I attempted to follow her model and her advice, she doesn't see exactly what I feel and what I see. And I don't quite see why she would be excited about a $40,000 client. To me, it would mean like, oh my God, they're probably going to want my firstborn child. I don't know what they're going to want from me, but probably a lot. But to somebody who loves nurturing and transforming and coaching, it's a gift. Yes, somebody will pay you $40,000, but for that money, you're going to help them transform their life. And it's exciting. To me, I have no interest in that. Not that I'm not interested in transforming lives, but that's not where my biggest motivation is. For me, it's making people see a new idea, new insight, to see something in a way that they've never seen before. Like I love when people say, "Oh my God, I've never seen it this way before. I love this idea." Or, you know, "Thank you, for the first time I actually get it." Like those are the kind of compliments that I love getting. So ask yourself, what kind of compliments are your favorite? That is also a clue.
I love that question.
To what what you're motivated by.
I am just taking tons of notes. I hope everybody listening also is. You're just sharing so much wisdom here.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Truly, I just love your fresh perspective.
And it is truly fresh, Quinn. It's as recent as the last 6 months. Because up until then, I've been really building $1 million business. I walked away from my company last year at $1.5 million in revenue.
Wow.
And it probably will continue to grow just without me.
Yeah.
So all the things that I'm sharing today are my kind of like newfound insights that I have discovered after walking away from $1 million company. And what's interesting is it's like the holy grail. I don't know about you, but in my world, to make $1 million is the ultimate goal of an internet marketer.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that when I finally hit $1 million, I didn't even know that. I didn't even realize that. I was so busy working.
Wow.
And then when my bookkeeper told me, "Yeah, you're at 1.4 this year." And it didn't feel like I thought it would feel. It didn't feel like $1 million, right? The angels didn't sing.
What?
In the sky, or in the rainbow didn't appear. It didn't feel, even hitting 6 figures felt even more exciting than hitting 7 figures. Why? Because somewhere along that journey, it stopped being important. I was so miserable that the money stopped being important. All I wanted was just to leave, just escape. I remember I wrote a song called "Far Away" because I wanted to be far away from my business. I didn't even realize that that's why I named it that way. I was like, far away, and I'm playing it. And so I was so ready to go, and the amount of money didn't matter. And I know that some people who are listening, they're like, well, yeah, let me find out for myself that $1 million doesn't matter.
Right.
And go ahead and do that. But take my experience and learn from my failures is that I was successful financially, but not emotionally. And I think that that's what I'm hoping that your people will take away from this, is that There are many ways to make $1 million. Do it in a way that is so aligned with your super skills, your vision for your life, that when you do reach $1 million, it'll feel like $1 million.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, I love this so much. It's just reminding me of just our tendency to not trust ourselves to really be free. And we've kind of talked about this in depth. I think this is just maybe an ego tendency or something in our society this comes up. But for those of you listening and you're hearing Milana, like she said, she's like, you might want to try it. Well, let me see how $1 million feels
Right,
to me.
right?
But like really what happens is maybe right now you're struggling financially and you feel like you're in a prison of financial struggle. So then you're creating a business as a way to get out of that prison, potentially maybe, right? And then in the process, you can actually create for yourself another prison within the very thing that you thought would liberate you. And so that's really what we're speaking to, is that if you are you're not being wise, you're not building something that's aligned with your heart and soul, then that's how those prisons happen. And it doesn't have to be that way. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs listening are afraid to take their businesses to the next level because they're afraid the next level equals prison. But Milana's standing here telling you, sitting here technically, telling you it doesn't have to be that way, that your level of creation doesn't have to be, there doesn't have to be the ceiling on it of stuckness, that you can always create and flow. Or at least that's what I'm hearing from you. Is that what you would resonate with, Milana, or what do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I have found is that when you make a particular amount of money, your goal in business, you're going to say yes to a lot of things that don't align with you. So like, when I wanted to reach $1 million revenue, I was doing things that I honestly was not supposed to be saying yes to. Like these were the wrong opportunities for me, but I saw them as the vehicle to $1 million. So I said yes.
Yes, yeah.
Optimizing your business around your life vision and around your super skills, those two things, your life vision and your super skills, make so much more sense and will get you to your income. I'm not even going to say to your income goal, but to your desired income much easier and faster, because you're not going to have the resistance that you experience when you're not in your sweet spot, when you're not in your simplicity zone. So I would say optimize your business around your life vision and your super skills, not around a particular amount of money, because that can get you in trouble. Up until 2013, before my business partner and I met and started a company, I had this really cool small business, $500,000, nothing to sneeze at, right? Like it was a good little company from home. I was working maybe 4-5 hours a day, getting to raise my 2 small children. It was now I was having a lot of fun. And when I started my business with a partner, what started happening was that I started leaning in towards his life vision, towards his super skills. And I was doing things that my team needed me to do, that my market needed me to do, that my partners needed me to do. And that took me away from my simplicity zone. And I started doing many things that I would never have said yes before. And that got me in trouble. So 3.5 years later, I was finally out, and I was no longer an entrepreneur, it seemed, because I had no business. I remember sitting in my chair and thinking, I have no brand, no products, no website, no list. I sold everything. I'm starting from scratch, except I don't even know what I'm starting. I'm sitting here doing nothing, and my brain is like screaming for something to do, because I just got off this treadmill and it wants to do and run somewhere, right? So I felt like, who am I if I'm not an entrepreneur? Can I be an entrepreneur without a business? Where does happiness come from? So all these questions.
Yes.
And what do I do now with my life? I had a whole list of things I was planning to do. I like, including things like going to see a Broadway show, traveling to Australia, sitting in on a live orchestra rehearsal, writing music, um, maybe going ziplining. I don't know. I had like a whole list of things I wanted to do, just like my bucket list that I never created until last year. And in all fairness, I did, out of like 50 things that I listed, I probably did 3.
Wow,
I
yeah.
wrote music, I sat on a live rehearsal, and I think I took a train ride because I really wanted to ride the train. I haven't done it in a long time.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, well, you know what I love about what you're saying is just that say we all have a, I think, well, a lot of us have a bucket list of some sorts, right? And so to even understand that, like you were saying, you were in Costa Rica, right?
Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic. There we
Yeah,
go. In a beautiful place that might be on somebody's bucket list, and you weren't even able to enjoy it. And so you could do all the things on your bucket list and you could still miss them. You could still miss the experience of it and the joy from it if you're living, so out of integrity with your heart and soul.
absolutely. I don't know if you've ever watched the movie Click with Adam Sandler.
Yes.
I love that movie. I've always loved it because I'm like a sucker for time travel movies. But specifically, most recently, it really resonated with me that there's a scene of the whole family having a picnic. I think it was like a July 4th picnic. And
Yeah.
he's on the phone screaming and like shushing their family away. And that's how his life passed. His life passed, like all those moments. And I'm like, so I just turned 44. Did I say I was 43? See
You
that?
look so young. I
Thank
don't
you.
believe. Yeah.
So the thing is that that year, the last year, I missed the whole year to the point where I forgot how old I was. I
Mm.
missed the entire year of my life. So sometimes I'll say I'm 43. I'm like, oh no, I'm 44. And
I,
so that's a scary thing, to miss an entire life out of your year because you were so preoccupied with your business and with the stress and anxiety that your business has caused you. I never want to lose a year of my life ever again.
mm.
And so now I am a single entrepreneur again. I'm no longer in a business partnership, and I am me, and it feels amazing. And maybe for someone, a partnership is a perfect thing for them, but
Yeah.
it just wasn't for me. And
Yeah.
it took 3.5 years of a hard lesson to learn that I need to be a solopreneur. I
Mm.
need to be making decisions on my own. I need that autonomy.
Yeah.
Some people are great with partners. You just, this is where you learn about yourself and become really self-aware.
Mm.
Yeah.
Man, I have just loved our time. I feel like it's flown by, and I'm like, wait a minute, there's so
I
much more we
know.
could talk about. But just a few things, just as you were talking about that, just barely, it was making me think. Really, what you're describing is this dichotomy of your business being consuming your life, becoming the prison, no matter how much money it's making for you, versus your business being this support to your life and this vehicle for your soul to express. And I
Yes.
love that contrast, that it's not, the business itself is not the problem, but it's the how, right?
Well, and I talk a lot about the idea of the simplicity mindset of how you
Mm.
approach your business is everything. Yeah, you could be running any business. You could have a big team of 20 people and still have enough simplicity in your life that it doesn't take 100% of your life, right?
Wow.
So, um, yeah, I mean, the whole idea of being constantly aware of what you want your business to do for you. And I think that self-awareness to me is a completely new thing. I just like, I never, A lot of people said to me that in order for you to grow your business more, you need to work on your personal growth and personal development. And I didn't see it. I saw it more like, well, no, I need to learn another marketing tactic.
Mm.
And so when I walked away from the business last year, what I started seeing is that personal growth is definitely one of those marketing tactics or one of those business growth strategies to pay attention to,
Mm.
because we are all made of the same stuff and we all have the same amount of time. And yet some people go all the way and other people are, trying and it's not working, right? So there's something in how we see and how like every business needs to attract prospects, nurture them, then convert them to become clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
How you do it depends on what you see your life like, what you see, that vision for your life.
Which makes me think you've got to value your life enough. And I think as women, so often I think we have this martyr tendency a little bit more so. And even you mentioned you started your business to help, pay for have your kids have the life that you wanted. And at least that was a part of my trap, is that I just thought, I'm only as good as what I'm creating for my family. Right.
Yes.
And that got me. So I didn't value my own life. And it hit me that one day as I was bringing home gifts from a business trip that I was, worn out from again, and I had been gone, that I realized, oh my gosh, I bet my kids actually don't even care about this gift as much as they're just so excited for me to be home. And how many years do I have left of that, of them being there and being so excited? And how many more years am I willing to just be consumed in my business and keep trying to just, send a gift or keep them quiet for a minute before I've lost that really deep, meaningful connection I always dreamed for me to have with my kids.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I think what's going to be important is that you let go of what other people may think about your decisions. I think
Yes.
that that's the biggest surprise that I had.
Mm.
People didn't understand how I could have walked away from such a highly lucrative business with such a high potential for growth.
Yeah.
A lot of people were confused about that. And it took me this understanding that it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. So that judgment, it actually came from me more than from other people. I was worried what people might think that I walked away. Will they think I'm a loser? Will they think that I couldn't handle, a fast growing company? Would they
Right.
think that I was weak?
Right.
That I no longer had the edge to be an entrepreneur? Like all these things that I was probably thinking about myself.
Mm.
I think that was my biggest fear, but it all came from me. So the moment you let your own, like your self-judgment go and start accepting the truth about what makes you excited about your business and what you want to do in your business, that's the moment where everything starts opening up. Like that self-judgment is really, really dangerous for what we think about ourselves. Yeah.
Amen. I have just loved our conversation today. Thank you for
I'm
all.
happy it was hopefully profound in some way, because we don't think about these things.
We don't.
For
No.
me, I think about building a business. And
Yes.
a lot of people do until something happens. Like something has to happen to an entrepreneur in order for them to wake up and suddenly realize, like, oh my God, I can't do it this way anymore.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the funniest thing, Quinn, was that when I started talking about simplicity, people were wondering if I was getting rid of my possessions.
Really
And I said to them,
choosing the monastic
probably
lifestyle.
not, because I love my office. and everything that I built into it. And I have my wonderful piano
Mm.
play, and I have my library and like all the things that I love in one place. So no, I'm not getting rid of things. This is not, simplicity does not have to come with minimalism in its deepest sense, but it does have to come with a way of thinking about what do you want to keep and what do you want to let go from your life and from your business. What is essential to you? And
Yes.
that's what simplicity is in every area of your business. And it's not easy to simplify your business. It can actually get even more complex because there's so many elements, right? Like when you start trying to simplify, like what do you let go? So what I actually do with people is I teach them how to build simplicity right into its foundation, into its the DNA of your business, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because that is much easier, because then everything starts falling off by itself. Like, oh, well, of course I don't need um, to do this, or of course I don't need this person on my team, and of course I don't need to use this marketing strategy. It just starts making sense.
Yeah.
Everything.
I love it. I'm so excited for our listeners to be having this. And I feel like honestly, this message is so resonant with this show and everything that it's about. It's so resonant with why it was created. And so I know that there are a lot of people listening who, you know, we've talked about similar kinds of things. I've shared my own journey as well on the show. And so I feel like it's hitting home. So I'm grateful for your vulnerability and your authenticity with bringing that. And I know that a lot of listeners are excited to learn more from you and connect with you more. And so I would love, is there a easy place where they could find you or connect with what you're sharing? We love it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you go to my website at simplicitycircle.com/get started. If you got curious about the whole idea of simplicity entrepreneurship, you know, growing and scaling your business while keeping it simple,
Right.
and making sure that it doesn't cost you your peace of mind, your independence, your health, relationships, things like that, I definitely invite you to check it out. It's simplicitycircle.com/get started. We'll get you a couple of very cool tools that will tell you if you are building maybe the wrong business model for yourself based on how your business experience looks like right now.
I love that. And I love how it's not, we'll tell you if you're going to be good at business. Like that's how a lot of people judge if they fail at one business model, but recognizing, no, there's a business model for every personality and every
Absolutely.
type.
I'm so glad you said that. Yes. Yeah, there are many different kinds of business models because there are many different personalities. And so you want to design your unique path to business success with that awareness.
Mm,
Otherwise, you're going to attempt to, like, if I were to build a business like Gary Vaynerchuk,
yeah.
the guy who works 200 hours a week,
Oh.
whether he actually works or it's in his mind, I probably wouldn't last a month at that pace. So we all are different. We all have different pace. That's the one thing that I changed in my life and my business is just I slowed down from the perspective of I'm working on one project at a time. Before it was like an avalanche of projects, like everything just piled up and stacked, you know, kind of like stacked on each other.
Yeah.
Launch, event, program, launch, program, event, like everything like, ah, when do I take a break, like a real unplugged break,
Mm.
and creating that space and working on one project at a time, and having that spaciousness has allowed me to really come back to like that balance and really love my life.
Mm. I love it. Well, thank you so much. We have a fun tradition on here, if you've heard this in the past, but I love to offer or ask some rapid fire questions to all of our guests. Are you up for this? It's like a fun game to me. I love
Yeah,
it.
let's do it.
All right. Okay. So just the first things that come to your mind, kind of paint a picture of what you see. So we're looking a little bit peeking behind the curtain of Milana's life. What does joyful living look like with friends? What do you love to do?
At my best friend's house, which is a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere.
Mm.
Probably toasting marshmallows.
Ah, that sounds blissful. I love it. Okay, how about joy with your family?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one because I have kids that are different ages, a boy and a girl. They don't have much in common. So we actually rarely had time, all four of us together.
Mm.
Um, that's a tough one. I will say a family time to me is with my husband in Dominican Republic. That would be the best time. Or with my daughter watching The Bachelor.
So fun.
That's my happy place. It's funny. Maybe like all the moms are now judging me, but
No, no.
let me tell you, there's a lot of lessons that I was able to discuss with her watching that show.
Wow, look at that. Like there's a whole moral application.
Like that, honey, is not real life.
Yeah. This is a game. This is
a game, and this would never happen in real life. And when they leave the paradise, it doesn't look like that anymore.
Yeah. It looks like our life, in our mess, and in our
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. We've kind of answered the next one is just joy with your husband. Is there anything you wanted to add with that?
Yeah, we'll watch some Russian movies together.
Oh, fun.
It's there's a lot of fun in just being able to share something like that where because we're both from Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
So when we watch the movies, many times a comedy show, we share that sense of humor that I cannot share with anyone else.
So special and part of your heritage, your culture.
Totally. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. How about joy with yourself? So alone time.
Oh, dance lessons for sure.
Okay, what kind of dance lessons are you doing? I love this.
So I take ballroom dance lessons. So I dance cha-cha, samba, rumba. Recently started tango, waltz. Not so crazy about foxtrot or any country dances. Just never grew. I've never grown to like that kind of music. But yeah, so any ballroom dance that has a Latin spin, merengue, bachata, and of course salsa, right? So not to say that I'm dancing those by myself, but that is me time.
And so then that's something that your husband does or doesn't do?
No, I bribed him in many ways. He would not dance. I'm dancing with my teachers.
I love that, Milana. I love that so much because so often we don't claim our joy for our alone time because we're thinking, well, if I was going to do ballroom, I'd have to do it with my spouse, and my spouse doesn't want to, or whatever it would be. I love that you just claim it, and it's
I've always loved dancing, but we never went dancing because my husband doesn't care about that. And so here I was in my late 30s, and I still didn't know how to dance. And so I called a local dance studio and I asked them, do you offer hip hop? Because I thought it would be great to learn how to hip hop and maybe lose some weight. And they said, we don't do hip hop, but would you be interested in cha-cha? And I remembered as a 12-year-old in a Soviet summer camp watching a couple of kids dancing cha-cha and samba, and I thought I could never do that. And so when they offered it, I was like, oh, I'm getting tingles right now.
Yes. Yes.
So what a great opportunity. Nobody has to see me. Nobody has to look at me. When I learn, when I look ridiculous, and now I actually can dance cha-cha, like at a very amateurish level, but enough that I can do it in front of other people and not feel embarrassed.
I love that so much. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we got a little off track because I just love diving into that. But then the last rapid fire question, joy with the divine, whatever that may look like to you.
Well, you know, there's no religion in the Soviet Union, right?
I didn't know that.
There was no religion. So I really grew up in a very much of an atheist environment.
Oh,
And
wow.
the only time I pray now is when I have no control over a situation that my kids are in. Like if my son is on a plane, and there's nothing I can do about that plane, right? So I will pray. I don't know, and I'm not sure how to answer that question. I never got to a level of comfort with that subject
Mm,
enough to talk about it. I am curiously spiritual. How is that?
I love that. What a beautiful description. I love that. I know I've been thinking about that question a lot because I do love asking it because it's just an interesting element of how we all connect to our life itself or life force or a higher power, So I was thinking I probably should rephrase that because I know that I love your curiously spiritual aspect, but even as you described before, in just really tapping into your joy and your genius, I mean, that's where the divine lives. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Again, you can go to simplicity circle.com/get started to get Milana's free gifts that are amazing and to connect more with her. She has so much value. And just in closing, Milana, is there any final thought or anything you'd like to share in wrapping this conversation together?
Hmm. I will say, I will leave you with this thought. Um, we talk a lot in business about playing big and
Mm,
stepping up.
yeah.
And I really think that playing big is not about stepping up. It's more about stepping into your biggest strengths, your biggest natural abilities, because that's how playing big actually makes a difference. It's a difference to your life, to your business. It makes a difference to your clients, to your market. It just, when you put your highest natural abilities out there into the world and you design your business around them and you put your biggest message and your all of your ideas come from um, your own insights and natural abilities.
Mm,
That's how you create value. That's how value is created, right? And when you create value, people want to pay for that value, and people want to pay a lot of money for that value. Actually, one last thought I'm going to leave you with.
yeah.
My mentor used to say to me 11 years ago that, like, I would always stress out about what I need to deliver to people. Like, oh my God, it's a VIP day. That means I need to do this, I need to prepare a presentation, curriculum. Like, oh my God, people are coming to the event. I need to have, like, I would always stress out about preparation and being prepared and having a curriculum and notes and presentations and be ready to give them value. And he said to me one day, and I remembered, it's been 11 years, the moment that you can walk into a room and just sit down and feel like people will get value just from you being in the room,
Mm,
you've arrived. Like, you are already successful. And so lately I started seeing that more and more, is that just for me to be in the room with my clients and share what comes to mind without curriculum, without slides, without note cards, without products and presentations and tools and exercises. Although, I still might have those,
yeah.
no longer stress out about delivering value, because people will get
Mm,
value when I allow myself to be me. And that has played out exactly like that every single time, when I'm just listening and I'm sharing my observations, or I'm saying what comes to mind, like my insights.
mm,
That's where people get the most value. I am not stressed out. They're getting my highest value, which means they're paying more for it. Um, and I get the best testimonials.
mm.
Why would I ever stress out about creating another presentation? Is beyond me. right? Like over preparing. I mean, I used to over prepare so much that when my laptop was stolen in the hotel room, my event planner woke me up at midnight to tell me about that. And I said to her, don't worry about it. I have all my presentations backed up on this thumb drive and on the website and then the Dropbox. I have them like everywhere. That's how I would over prepare. I would stress out so much using my presentations. And now I'm like, I'm here. How can I be of service? How can I help you? And you know who else does that? Richard Branson. And I just thought of that. Like, that is the coolest thing, is that there's so much confidence in him that he can give people value by just walking into a room. And I love that I am starting to get close to that mentality. So.
Oh, I love it too. Milana, it has been such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing massive, massive value with our listeners today and with me, and for just having this conversation. It's been truly a joy.
Thank you so much, Quinn, for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. And thank you to all of you listeners for spending this time with us. I hope that you are capturing some of the 1 to 2 top nuggets that have come to you, that you are ready to look at a little bit closer and put into action right away, so that you can start shifting into more of this simplicity mindset that Milana has been talking about, and leaning into those super skills, and certainly reaching out to Milana for more support in that. And we're so grateful to you guys listening, and hope that you have joy today and always. And we love you, and sending you so much love and cheering you on in all that you're doing and creating. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye. And in the end, only love will last. You've been listening to Joyful Living. If you haven't already done so, be sure to email me at quinn@joyfullivingmovement.com so I can send you our yummy Joyful Living welcome package filled with lots of awesomeness, including access to our private Joyful Living network. I read every email from my listeners and would love to hear from you. Also, be sure to leave a review on iTunes, and most importantly, have a joy-filled day.